Love doesn't whisper here, it roars. It burns through the sound of gunfire, breathes through fear, and dances on the edge of betrayal. In All the Queen's Men, love is not gentle. It doesn't come with flowers or soft promises. It comes with danger, and every heartbeat sounds like a warning. Because when your world is built on power, loyalty, and control, danger becomes the only way to feel alive, and war. That's how they say I love you in this world. Every glance, every silence, and every scar tells a story. The queen doesn't speak in sweet words. She commands with her presence. Her love is not given, it's earned through fire. She doesn't wait for someone to understand her heart. She makes them prove they're strong enough to stand beside it. Her world isn't made of trust or safety. It's built on control, because control is the only thing that can protect her from a world that's always ready to take everything away. The men around her don't just follow orders, they orbit her like planets around a burning sun. They are drawn to her power, blinded by it, and destroyed by it. They crave her approval the way others crave affection. Every mission, every fight, every act of violence is more than loyalty. It's devotion. Because in her kingdom, love is not a feeling. It's a transaction of risk. You prove your worth not by what you say, but by what you survive for her. There's something dangerous about a woman who doesn't need saving. She doesn't cry out for help. She becomes the storm. Her presence makes men tremble not out of fear, but because they see in her something they can never truly own. She is power disguised as beauty, danger wrapped in silk. To love her is to stand on the edge of a knife, knowing one wrong step will cut you open. And yet, every man still takes that step. Because some hearts aren't drawn to peace, they are addicted to chaos. But that's the truth about this kind of love. It's not the love that heals you. It's the kind that tests how much pain you can endure and still come back for more. It's the kind that says, if you can stand through the fire, you belong here. Every moment of calm is just a pause before the next storm. And the queen knows it. She thrives in it. Danger is her comfort. War is her rhythm. And control is her way of loving. She doesn't tell them she loves them. She gives them a reason to fight. She doesn't hold them close. She lets them earn the right to stand close. And they do, every time. Because to them, love without danger is meaningless. In her presence, they find purpose. In her chaos, they find connection. That's what makes this world so intoxicating. Love and war, fear and passion, all twisted together until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. And maybe that's the point, that love isn't always soft. Sometimes it's sharp, violent, and unrelenting. Sometimes it's not about peace. It's about survival. They don't wear crowns, but they fight like kings. Her men are not lovers in the ordinary sense. They are soldiers of emotion, warriors of loyalty. Each one carries a piece of her command deep in his soul. They move like shadows, living between tenderness and violence. To the world, they are dangerous. To her, they are necessary. Because every empire needs protectors, and every queen knows protectors are also the most dangerous kind of lovers. They don't ask for her heart. They earn it through bruises and blood. To them, danger is not a jab, it's a confession. When they fight, it's not just for territory or money. It's for recognition. Every punch, every risk, every wound says, see me. I'm still standing. I'm still yours. They understand her without words. When she walks into a room, silence falls, not from fear, but from respect, the kind of respect that's born from obsession. She doesn't need to remind them who she is. They already know she's the reason they breathe and the reason they bleed. Each of them carries a story, a memory of when they first saw her power. Some remember the way her eyes cut through a lie. Others remember how she saved them without saying a word. But all of them remember one thing, the moment they realized they would rather die for her than live without her. That's not weakness. That's devotion in its most dangerous form. Because once you've tasted a love that feels like survival, peace feels like poison, These men live in a loop of chaos, a rhythm of love and war that never slows down. They fight, they fall, they rise again. Their connection isn't gentle. It's carved out of pain, trust, and shared danger. They don't say, "I love you." They prove it through actions. When one takes a bullet, it's not just duty, it's worship. When one sacrifices his peace for her power, it's not loyalty, it's surrender. To them, love is not something you feel. It's something you survive. But this kind of devotion has a cost. The more they fight for her, the less of themselves they keep. Every man who stands beside her loses a piece of who he was before. They start to see the world through her eyes, where mercy is weakness and love is strategy. They become mirrors of her strength and victims of her control. And yet, they don't resist it. Because being close to her, even if it burns, is better than living in the dark without her fire. It's strange how danger can feel like home. How the sound of gunfire can replace the sound of heartbeat. For her men, adrenaline is affection. Violence is connection. When they fight, they are alive. When they bleed, they are reminded they still matter. It's not just about protecting the queen. It's about protecting the only thing that gives them purpose. They aren't afraid of death. They are afraid of being forgotten. And she knows it. That's why she doesn't stop them. She gives them missions that test their limits, words that cut deeper than wounds, and moments of affection so rare they feel like mercy. A single glance from her is worth a lifetime of battles. One quiet touch means more than 1,000 promises. Because in her world, love isn't constant. It's conditional. You earn it, you fight for it, and you bleed for it. And if you fail, you lose not just her trust, but the reason you exist. That's why they never stop. That's why they never turn away. Every time they look at her, they see not a woman, but a force, something divine and deadly. She is their cause, their curse, and their cure. To love her is to stand at the edge of ruin and call it paradise. To follow her is to lose yourself and still feel found. And maybe that's what makes them dangerous too. Because when a man's love turns into survival, he'll do anything, kill, protect, destroy, just to keep it alive. That's the kind of love that doesn't fade. It doesn't heal. It consumes. And for the queen's men, that's the only kind of love worth dying for. Every kingdom looks peaceful from a distance. But when you step closer, you hear the whispers, the doubt, the jealousy, the fear that hides behind loyalty. That's the true war. Not the one with guns or blades, but the one fought in silence between love and survival. The queen's men may fight for her, but inside, each of them is fighting himself. The battle isn't only on the streets. It's in their hearts. There's a moment every soldier of love faces when devotion starts to feel like prison. When protecting her turns into losing himself. One man begins to wonder if she ever truly sees him. Another starts to crave more than orders. He wants affection that doesn't come with blood. But in her world, love doesn't comfort, it commands. It tests, it takes. So they bury their doubts beneath discipline and let their hearts harden like armor. The queen feels it too. She doesn't show it, but she knows. Every time one of her men looks at her with both desire and resentment, she feels the danger shift. She's not just fighting enemies, she's fighting emotions that could destroy her empire. Love makes you weak, and weakness gets you killed. So she hides her feelings behind control, pretending she doesn't care when one of her men doesn't return, pretending it doesn't hurt when one of them starts to question her. But deep down, she feels every loss like a wound that never heals. And yet, she can't stop. Power is her protection. If she lets them see her heart, they'll stop fearing her. And if they stop fearing her, they'll stop fighting for her. That's the curse of leading through love. The more you care, the more dangerous you become to yourself. So she built her throne higher, keeping them close enough to serve, but far enough to never touch what's real. It's not cruelty. It's survival. But danger doesn't stay loyal. The same fire that built her kingdom starts to burn through it. One man begins to dream of freedom. Another begins to crave her downfall. Betrayal grows like smoke, slow, invisible, suffocating. The queen can sense it, but she doesn't flinch. She's lived too long in chaos to fear the flames. She knows that every empire falls, but not every queen burns quietly. If war is coming, she meets it dressed in power, not pity. The air between her and her men changes. It's thicker now, charged with emotion and unspoken pain. They look at her with love, but also with the weight of everything they've lost because of her. Sleep, peace, mercy, all traded for the chance to stand by her side. They wonder if she ever feels the same. She does, but she never say it. In her silence, they find both devotion and despair. That's her genius. She gives them just enough to stay, but never enough to heal. Love like this is an endless loop, a cycle of destruction and devotion. They fight, they bleed, they forgive, and then they do it all again. Because in her world, the war never ends. It just changes shape. One day it's bullets. The next, it's heartbreak. But the pain is always there, constant, familiar, addictive. It reminds them that they're alive, that they belong to something bigger than themselves. Sometimes, in the quiet hours, the queen looks at her reflection and wonders if she's become the very thing she once feared, heartless. But then she remembers, in a world like hers, softness is suicide. She didn't choose danger. It chose her. It's the only language she was ever taught. And so, she speaks it fluently through commands, through silence, through the way her men look at her as if she's both salvation and damnation. The war outside is brutal, but the war inside is worse. Because no one wins. The queen can't love without losing control. Her men can't serve without losing themselves. Every victory feels empty. Every peace feels temporary. And yet, none of them walk away. Because love, once mixed with danger, becomes impossible to quit. Maybe that's the tragedy of it all. Not that they fight too much, but that they can't stop fighting. Love, for them, isn't about peace. It's about endurance. It's about how much chaos you can take and still whisper, "I'm not done yet," in this world. That's not weakness. That's survival. There comes a moment when the smoke clears, and even the strongest hearts begin to tremble. Every war has an ending, but not every love story does. The queen stands at the center of the empire she built, the empire she bled for, the one she protected with her silence, her strength, her lies. Around her, the world looks the same, but something inside her has changed. The faces that once surrounded her with loyalty now haunt her memory. Some are gone forever. Some are still here, but hollow. The throne feels heavier now, and for the first time, she wonders if power was worth the price of peace. Love and war have always been her twin flames. They burned together, fed each other, destroyed everything else in between. For years, she believed that danger was proof of devotion, that if someone was willing to bleed for her, they loved her. But now she sees the cracks in that belief. She sees how love that grows from fear becomes control, not connection. How passion mixed with violence doesn't heal or change you to your pain. She used to think her heart was a weapon. Now she sees it was also the target. Her men still follow her, but their eyes tell a different story. They don't look at her like a goddess anymore. They look at her like a ghost of the woman they once believed in. Each of them carries invisible scars, not from battlefields, but from love turned toxic. The devotion that once united them now divides them. Some want freedom, others want revenge. But all of them are tired. Tired of bleeding for a feeling that never brings peace. Tired of confusing chaos with love. The queen feels it too. That exhaustion. That quiet ache that sits in the chest when the fight has gone on too long. She has power, yes, but power without warmth is a prison made of gold. She walks through her palace and it feels like walking through her own mind, grand, silent, and lonely. Every wall holds a secret. Every mirror shows a version of herself she no longer recognizes. The crown is heavy not because of its jewels, but because of the ghosts it carries. And yet, she can't let go. The same fire that destroyed her peace also gives her purpose. The chaos she created is the only thing that keeps her alive. Without it, who would she be? The woman who once ruled men through fear now fears herself, fears what will happen if she finally stops fighting. If she stops seeing love as a battlefield, will she still be the queen? Or will she become just another woman who loved too hard and lost herself in the process? One night, when the noise fades and the city sleeps, she finally allows herself to feel it, the truth she's been avoiding. Love was never supposed to be war, but for her, it always will be. Because she doesn't know how to separate danger from devotion. It's the only language she knows. Every man who ever loved her spoke it fluently through bruises, loyalty, and silence. And she spoke it back not with tenderness, but with power. It wasn't cruelty. It was survival. She looks at the scars on her hands, reminders of everything she's lost and everything she's made others lose. For a moment, she almost envies the ones who walked away, the ones brave enough to leave before love turned into ruin. But she's not built for leaving. She's built for fighting. For her, even heartbreak has to be conquered. So she straightens her crown, takes a breath, and steps back into the fire. Because some people are not made to escape the storm. They are made to be it. Her men will follow, as they always have. Some out of loyalty, some out of habit, some because they still can't imagine a world without her. They don't need to speak. The air between them is enough thick with memory, regret, and a love that refuses to die quietly. They know this isn't peace. It never will be. But it's theirs. It's the language they understand, and maybe that's the real tragedy. Not that they chose danger, but that danger chose them. That in another life, they might have loved gently, freely, without fear. But in this one, love came wearing armor and carrying a gun. In this one, affection looked like war. In this one, every heartbeat was a battle cry. When the queen looks out at her kingdom, she doesn't see power anymore. She sees sacrifice. She sees what love cost her and what it gave her. Because even in all the pain, there was beauty. Even in all the war, there was connection. She may never know peace, but she knows passion. She may never find safety, but she has purpose.